Hey guys, Fan Formula this week. It is Joyous Japan. But first things first, what I now do every week apparently, but happy birthday to David, aka Paigey. It was last week, I know, but to be fair, it was after the Fan Formula deadline, so I couldn't get it in with all the other birthday messages, but happy birthday. Hope you had a good one. Hope you're not feeling too old or anything, but yay, happy birthday. So that's the Kids TV presenter moment over for this video, and we will be on with the questions about the Japanese Grand Prix. So, question 1, Romain Grosjean and his first corner or first lap incidents. What do I think about today's one and all his other ones? It's getting really difficult to defend my lovely little giraffe because he is a repeat offender, obviously. But I think there's a lot of overreaction. I think people have just kind of said that all the incidents are his fault just because they're remembering that he was involved in them, and then when you actually look at them, there's plenty of them that is not his fault at all. There are some that are kind of arguably his fault but not like deliberate, not malicious, nothing like that, and there's a few that you think, yeah, that was a bit silly. So like, you know, Australia, him and Maldonado, I mean, my two favourite crash kids, I don't think that was his fault, and I mean, he was the one that suffered, he was the one that retired from the race. It was just, I would have said a racing incident, to be honest. Malaysia, perfectly innocent mistake in those conditions with the rain, and it was crazy. I mean, I just think he's not the most experienced driver out there, and I mean, we've seen plenty of very experienced drivers make mistakes in those conditions, so I think that was just a mistake and unfortunate, but what can you do? Like, yeah, Monaco, people seem to think that he was crazy and it's all his fault, but to be fair, what else could he have done? If he'd have gone left, he'd have hit Michael Schumacher and they'd both be in the barrier, and that could have been horrific. If he'd have gone right, he'd have hit, was it Alonso? Yeah, it was Alonso. Hit Alonso and then whoever was right of Alonso and everybody else, the whole field. Or he could keep straight, which is kind of what he did, and it's just that 4 or 5 cars wide or whatever does not fit in between the barriers at Monaco. So I don't think there's anything he could have done differently. I mean, yes, you know, you could say, oh, he should have backed off completely, but then maybe someone would have rear-ended him. Maybe he should have stepped on it to try and get past Schumacher, and then there would have been all sorts of chaos when he got to the first corner. So yeah, I think that one, what the hell could he have done? What would you, or whoever's moaning about it, have done differently? I have no idea. Obviously Belgium, that was, yeah, it's kind of his fault. I do think the punishment was very extreme. I mean, I've already rambled on about this, so I won't continue. But yeah, again, you could say he should just be less aggressive, but it would kind of be a shame. And where are all these people last year when Lewis Hamilton was crashing into everything that moved? And, you know, why didn't he get demands for him to be banned forever? I mean, repeat incidents, and even with the same driver, like, I think that's way more concerning if it's the same driver that it looks like you kind of gunning for every time. So yeah, I think this is weird that it's kind of escalated this quickly. I mean, yes, he's a repeat offender and I can understand why people are concerned about him, but this never happened with Lewis Hamilton, so I'm a bit skeptical. So yeah, today, you know what I mean, this race, today, I don't know what he's doing today. He could be doing anything. He's probably eating some Haribo somewhere and being a bit forlorn. But yeah, this race, yeah, I think he was going a bit too fast into the corner. I mean, there was a lot going on, but I don't know. People were saying like, oh, we want to look at the telemetry and see what kind of speed Webber was doing, whether he was like too hard on the brakes or what. But yeah, it's unfortunate, and I think Webber was really overly aggressive after the race with this whole first lap nutcase thing. That really annoyed me, to be honest. There's no overreaction. I know you're kind of, adrenaline's high and you're annoyed because you've been taken out the race, but well, he wasn't even taken out the race. I just remembered, he wasn't taken out the race. That's the stupid thing. He was getting so angry, even though he managed to still get some points at the end of this, and yet people like Alonso and Rosberg, who, you know, regardless of who's at fault there, they're out of the race and they weren't really complaining as much. So yeah, Webber went crazy. So yeah, it's sad that he's a repeat offender. I just really want him to have like a clean race because he's good. He's got potential to be really good. If he could just not hit anyone. And yeah, I think if you want my opinion, you should just look on Will Buxton's Twitter, because he said some great things that I really agreed with. And one of them particularly was, it would be really sad if if Romain Grosjean just gave up in the first corner, like just backed off and didn't do anything at all. I think that's a shame for him. They're racing drivers, they are racers. So yeah, I hope he can still keep his good points, and just maybe all the other cars are just nowhere near him and he'll be fine. I don't know, maybe he needs to get pole position and then he'll win. That'd be nice. Anyway, I've rambled enough. I've already rambled about Romain Grosjean enough in my life, but there you go. Question 2, best overtake of the race. Definitely Perez on Hamilton. Basically, Mr. McLaren 2013 overtaking Mr. McLaren 2012 and every other year ever. It was amazing. I think I read somewhere that Hamilton was moaning that it was an aggressive move, which really made me laugh, to be honest. I think Hamilton is very confused about what an aggressive move looks like. It was great. It was a good, clean overtaking manoeuvre, and I mean, it was a shame that when he tried a similar move, Perez kind of magically dropped off the track by himself. But shame. But the first time, it was really, really good, and I think it made a lot of people laugh, just with the kind of McLaren dynamic going on, and Hamilton being a bit sad and grumpy, as we saw later on Twitter, which I know it wasn't a question, but was so hilarious when Hamilton was tweeting how Jenson Button's unfollowed him, so, you know, I thought we respected each other, but clearly we don't, and then having to realise a bit later that he never followed him, and then be like, oh, my bad, and it's like, this is so tragic, Lewis. He's just sitting there looking at his followers on Twitter, desperate for attention and respect, which I don't think respect comes from following on Twitter. Don't get me wrong, like, I follow some awesome people on Twitter, you know who you are, but I don't think that's the true sign of respect. I think that was just tragic. So yeah, there you go. Perez on Hamilton, definitely. Driver of the day, it's probably a tie, but I'm going to give the edge to Felipe Massa. People couldn't believe it when they see the results and see Felipe Massa finish second. I was just so good, because he's been improving steadily since, like, Monaco, really? Yeah, like, I'll admit, like, I know he's not been good, and he's just been invisible next to Fernando Alonso for so long, but since Monaco I think he's been really improving with, like, qualifying and the race, and has been sneaking up the grid, and I'm just so glad that it's, like, kind of paying off now that he's got that podium. It was just lovely. So obviously I'm very pleased. I hope he can keep it up. I really hope it's not a fluke, because we know the Ferrari, although it's not necessarily the best car on the grid, we know it's capable of winning races, Fernando Alonso, and leading the championship, Fernando Alonso. So it's nice to see Felipe coming forward and actually performing rather well. So yeah, Felipe Massa is my driver of the day, but obviously a close second has got to be Kamui Kobayashi. Just because he's been, like, we all know he's awesome. We all know he's, like, badass at overtaking and KKing people. But for some reason he's never quite had the results that Perez has had. So it was really nice to see it finally happen for him, and at his home Grand Prix, and the chanting from the grandstand on the podium, it was so good. So yeah, Kamui Kobayashi, I think most people probably pick him. I'm still going Felipe Massa, just because what a great recovery from such a dark time. But yeah, so it's kind of a tie, Felipe and Kamui. Bonus question, on that very same subject of Massa and Kobayashi, have these performances saved their seats, or is it too little too late? I don't know. I'm genuinely quite surprised that Kobayashi's seat is in danger. Like, I guess if somebody is just kind of, well, I reckon if somebody was going along at, like, average for a while, they would be replaced, yeah. But Nico Rosberg's managed to stay around, and Paul di Resta, so they're my top average drivers. So yeah, I'm surprised that his seat is in danger, but obviously this performance is great, and I know they were interviewing Manisha Kaltenborn, and she really didn't want to say anything about it, but she's awesome, so she can get away with it. I'm not sure. I like to think it would make a difference, but it really depends on who else is gunning for that seat. So I'm not sure. But for Felipe, I think that's made a huge difference. I mean, I can't remember whether it was before or after the race, but he was definitely very confident about his position for next year. And if the rumours are to be believed that Vettel is lining up Ferrari for 2014, I don't see why they'd bother changing somebody for 1 year. Like, there's no point getting a young driver in for 1 year. They're not going to do much. They're going to be inexperienced and not know the team that well. They might as well, and might have a problem with Alonso, I don't know. They might as well stick with Felipe, and he really is improving. Like, I think they can see that it's been a gradual improvement. This isn't like a fluke second place he's done. So I like to think Felipe will be in Ferrari for 2013 at least, and then who knows after that. So yes, I think they've both done wonderful work for saving their seats. I don't know if it's too late for Kobayashi, but I think the sensible thing for both of them will be to keep them, but that's just my biased and uninformed opinion. So there you go, that's Fan Formulaaaa. I'm going to wrap this up so it's not too long and doesn't take me many days to upload. So I will enjoy watching all of yours, and I'll talk to you on Twitter. See ya!